So almost 2 months ago, it's even been 2 months because time is flying. Yeah, it's been a little over 2 months ago. I made a video whereby I was reading 1-star reviews of some of my favorite books, and you all were entertained. Some people were like, "Oh my God, Nora, you were not salty enough," etc., etc. And some were like, "Oh my God, look at how you're defending your faves." So anyway, I figured I'm going to do the reverse for today's video. So I'm going to be reading 5-star reviews of books I hate, and for you to know just how much I hate those books, I would suggest you check out my hyped books I hated video. I'm going to leave it in the description, but I'm going to leave it somewhere off screen so you can go check it out. But yeah, let's get started because there are some books on here I'm still like, you all gave these books 5 stars? Seriously?
It's not realistic. It's just not realistic.
Okay, and we'll start with the first book on my list, which is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. Quentin Coldwater is an unhappy teen, eyeing up an uncertain future in college. He's secretly in love with his friend Julia. Nothing else matters to him except the Fillory and further series of books he's loved since childhood. Imagine how he feels when a seemingly routine college interview drops an undiscovered Fillory book in his grasp and leads him to Break Bills, a college of wizardry, and worlds beyond. So set up, people, set up. In a nutshell, The Magicians depict what would happen if regular people went to college for wizards, complete with parties, sex, drug, cursing, and making stupid choices. See, here is where the stupid choices should have been highlighted. You need to highlight the stupid choices. You need to make bold in the stupid choices. You also forget the nice guy who expects to get to the girl because he's nice trope. You also forget where it is that you're a cheating piece of shit scumbag who cheats on his girlfriend and she rightfully breaks up with him and then decides to have sex with someone else, only for this cheating piece of shit scumbag to be all like, "How dare you have sex with somebody else? You betrayed me." Like, dude, you had a threesome when you were in a relationship.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
The characters make mistakes. Putting on the wrong socks is a mistake. Accidentally playing porn in a presentation in your office is a mistake. Forgetting to lock your door, the doors to your house, is a mistake. What Quentin Coldwater did consistently throughout this entire book was not a mistake. It was him being a total, complete, and absolute dumbass. And I feel highly insulted that you're trying to like justify the stupidity of that boy.
How dare you!
I was afraid that this would be a year 1, year 2 etc. magical school book series. Not so. Grossman smokes through 5 years of Break Bills in quick order, giving us highlights but leaving a lean script that keeps the pages turning. If you mean keep the pages turning as per let me get to the end of this book so that I can dump it in a bonfire somewhere and celebrate Guy Fawkes Day, then yes, you're right about that. Professor Mayakovsky, the teacher at Breakbill South, really turns boys and girls into men and women. Fascinating that you skipped over the fact that Professor Mayakovsky was also exiled to Breakbill South for having an affair with his students. Yeah, Mayakovsky is... It is the boot camp of magic. Mayakovsky sums it up to Quentin on his first day. You need to do more than memorize, Quentin. You must learn them with your bones, with your blood, your liver, your heart, your dick. He grabbed his crotch through his dressing gown and gave it a shake. Yeah, that is the level of artistry in language that you experience when you're reading The Magicians. You know, Mayakovsky grabbing his dick and you remembering that this is the same guy that was fucking his students to the point that the girl decided to cast a love potion on herself that backfired and ended up killing another student.
What a mess.
Most of the time, I didn't even realize I was reading a fantasy book. The characters remind me of people that I went to college with. Grossman actually does a good job developing the characters. They're all interesting, flawed. Am I the one that like uses the word developing? Because when I think developing a character, I think character development. And to be fair, in the first book, none of these characters actually had any meaningful character development. Based off of what I heard, the character development kicks off by book 2, book 3. But in book 1, they were not really developing. So I don't understand where the developing is coming from.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
They're all interesting, flawed, very human characters that again made me believe in the reality of this world. Do I agree that they are flawed? Yes. Do I think Quentin Coldwater in book 1 is interesting? He's as interesting as a bag of sour donuts. You know, like you want to eat it and you're promised all sort of goodness in it, and then you take a bite and you're like, it's rancid and disgusting and does not really have any texture or flavor, and you realize you just wasted your money and wasted your time and your saliva, because now you are going to have to chew or spit out, but either way your saliva is wasted on Quentin Coldwater.
I said what I said.
So Children of Virtue and Vengeance, because if you have not seen it, I'll also leave a link to that video in the description bar, but I did do a review for Children of Virtue and Vengeance. Oh my god. That book. We could have had it all. I read the whole book within 36 hours of publication.
Wait, what?
Are we talking about the same book? 36 hours? That book took me 3 weeks. This is an incredible page turner.
So I am confusion.
Page turner? Children of Virtue and Vengeance? Minor aspects of the plot frustrated me. Minor aspects of the plot. Did it just say minor? But by the end, Tomi Adeyemi weaves a surprisingly complex tale. What was complex about it? She massacred the characters, totally removed the character development that they had them regress, made them nothing like the characters we started with, basically nullified the whole essence of the journey that Zelie takes in the second book, and then ends it with slavery. How is that in any way complex? If you mean it was a complex mess, I agree. But a complex story? Do we all know? Is our definition of complex the same, or am I the only one reading meaning? Complex story?
Unbelievable.
This novel was less predictable than the first. Of course, it was less predictable than the first. This novel did not look like it was anyway connected to the first. It was like it was written by a whole separate author for a whole separate audience, because this story did not make any sense compared to where it was coming from at the start. In fact, I felt completely ignorant of how each character arc would unfold. See, that is how you know that it was the fact that you are uncertain of how the character arc will unfold should tell you that the character is being massacred, because there was a character arc that was started in book 1, that could be developed on, but that just went sailing into the River Niger, saying bye-bye to us as he joined the Pacific, because Tomi Adeyemi was like, character development.
I don't know the woman.
Where do I start? This book is intense. My emotions were all over the place. Oh, my emotions were all over the place, all right. It fluctuated between what the fuck, what the hell, what the fuck, excuse me, what the fuck, make this make sense, what the fuck, how does it make sense, what the fuck, is it the same person writing this book, what the fuck, that was my emotions. It was fluctuating all over the place, kind of like you. At least we agree on that. At times, I didn't even know whose side I was on anymore. That's because all the sides were shifting. That's because there were no sides. Because even Tomi Adeyemi did not know what side she was on, because she did not know what she was writing at a point. There were a lot of twists and turns, and it's mind-blowing. If you mean mind-blowing at how these characters were utterly and completely destroyed and massacred, I agree. Just like Children of Blood and Bone, this story is action-packed. I disagree. Say what you read about Children of Blood and Bone, but it was definitely more action-packed. This story dragged. This story lagged. This story was... The magic system is even more expanded, and I loved the influence of culture. I agree that she did develop the magic system in book 2, but that this story is an action-packed as Children of Blood and Bone. Are you kidding me? No. I don't know what to say about it without spoiling anything. This book is an incredible sequel, and I hope there will be another one, because this story is not done yet. Of course it's not done yet. Did you see that ending? And I doubt it will ever be.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
All the literary gods, nope. It has to end. It has to end. Preferably in the next book. It has the horror of an unending legend of, especially with the way that second book ended. The only point of criticism is that around halfway through the book, some confrontations felt a bit repetitive. Was that the only thing? Confrontations, conversation, characters that started at point A, got to point B by the end of book 1, and then went back to point A and once again arrived at point B at the end of book 2. You don't think that the entirety of that book was a repetition of Inan?
You know I'm right.
Let's move on to the next book on my list, which is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Maureen. It had everything I adore: addictive, easy writing, enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience, witch hunter romance, slow burn, intricate magic system, heartwarming female friendship, morally great characters, inner battle of right and wrong. How does a book have all of this and yet I was still bored out of my mind? Because ideally these are themes, and I agree, these are things that were present in the book that I should love, but I was bored, which just made me hate the book even more. Because how do you take all of these qualities, every single thing except for the witch and witch hunter romance thing, because that gets to me, it gives me slave colonizer vibes, because one of them is meant to hunt the other and uses religion, and based off of the history of witches and witch hunting, I'm just not a fan of that. But how do you have all of this that ideally I should, most of this which ideally I should love in a book, and still give me a book I hate?
The power that has.
In the land of Belterra, witches are burned at the stake, and the Chaucer, witch hunters with the Archbishop as their leader, are ruthless. Their number one rule: thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. 2 years ago, Lou left her coven for reasons I shan't go into, and was forced to live a life of suppressing her magical nature and living in constant vigilance. She has to do what she can to survive, that being lie, steal, and kill if necessary, for life is hard in the city of Caesarine, especially for a woman. She's managed to live for 2 years undetected. She was careful up until one burglary gone wrong set the wheels in motion. With the Chaucer on her tail and enemies of her past close on her heels, Lou slips up again and ends up in a compromising position with the captain of the Chaucer. The Archbishop comes up with a solution. Lou can either go to prison for the rest of her life, or she can marry the captain and save his virtuous reputation. Lou, being the smart girl she is, chooses marriage to the handsome Captain Diggory, who, by the way, I like to point out and interject, is a total and complete dumbass, waste of space, horrible love interest. God, I hate Diggory. I hate Captain Diggory. Fuck him in the ass. Okay, being married to a Chaucer also grants her the protection she desperately needs from those who also hunt her. Reed Diggory is a dedicated witch hunter. Despite his views on witches, he's honorable and loyal. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. Our definition of loyalty varies, because you say loyal, I say someone who waits until the last possible moment, who has to be guilt tripped in order to save the woman he claims to love, is not loyal for shit. But anyway, it was such a pleasure reading about him. He's so set in his ways, and it was amazing to see him losing up and change. Were we reading the same book? Losing up and change? Reed Diggory? The beginning was really funny, as neither of them trusted the other and they were always bickering. Watching as Reed and Lou's relationship slowly blossom, how they opened up and became more than two people stuck in an unwanted marriage, was so beautiful. Their relationship reminded me so much of Matthias and Nina from Six of Crows. So if you love those two, you're going to love this. I disagree. 1. Matthias and Nina have better banter. 2. Nina is not as stupid as Lou, because Lou is stupid in this story.
I mean, facts are facts.
Next review. I didn't want this story to end, to put it plainly. I love it so much that I'm just going to ignore the randomness of the last couple of chapters. Why? Because the last couple of chapters was how the story was resolved. You cannot ignore it. The whole point is for the story to build to the point. The reason why you can ignore it is because you know that the story is crap. Because let's be real, let's be honest. If not, we should not be ignoring the last couple of chapters, because that's how the story actually resolves itself and ends. It just shows how much of a mess it was that you can choose to ignore it. One shout out that I would also like to mention is the fact that this book had LGBT characters but didn't make it a big deal or put any spotlight on them. It was briefly mentioned as a passing comment that Coco had female lovers, and then when the fucking Prince of the Kingdom all but asked if Reed and Lou wanted to join Coco and him on sexcapade, hell yes to queer characters that don't have being queer as their major character trait. There is characters that are not defined by their queerness, but you still know they are inherently queer, and then there are characters that have a passing line about being queer and then move on. Like, I love the Throne of Glass series, I love Sarah J. Maas, but I would say that Adian totally falls within that category. You cannot just say someone is queer and just move on and say that that is LGBTQ plus rep. That is not queer rep. That is you reaching for brownie points. That is you reaching for brownie points that you do not deserve. You do not put in the work to actually give us representation, but you want to get all the accolades for putting representation when you actually did not put in jack shit. I object to this review. Wholeheartedly object. But that is me reading some 5-star reviews of books I absolutely hated. Let me know if you agree with my thoughts. Let me know if any of these books I hated that I read 5-star reviews of are books you actually enjoyed. Please come and fight with me in the comments. I live for that conversation and the argument. But that is this video. As always, if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, please do not forget to give a big thumbs up. Check out my other videos. Subscribe if you want to, and if you do decide to subscribe, please click on that notification bell. So after you've hit subscribe, click on the bell so you can have all notifications turned on so you don't miss any of my new videos. I do make new videos every Wednesdays and Sundays at 2 p.m. EST. Yes, that is 2 p.m. EST, and I'll see you soon. Until then, stay passionate, love books, love yourself. Bye.